Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hey everybody, I am Matt Truman, and alongside me is Frank Wylie and David Snell. Today, these Ohio fellas are going to be talking about issue one and the results here in the state of Ohio. We're also going to be talking about the upcoming November ballot. Frank Wylie, David Snell, thanks for joining me tonight on Truman's Town Hall.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
So, a few things happened yesterday, right? Issue one fails, right? That means that we won't secure the Constitution in the state of Ohio. That means that the November ballot will go on with abortions. That I know they want to say reproductive rights, and we'll get into all that word salad that is being put out there. But what were your thoughts about the outcome of issue one? I'll let anybody go.
I'll start, Matt. Just like I was saying earlier, in a lot of ways, I feel disappointed. I believe in my heart, and I just thought about this last night, I believe it was a setup to get people confused between, what as far as issue one goes, you shouldn't vote for it because it's going to be more harder how to live certain things. And then I've had others say if you do vote for issue one, that would mean it's not only it's going to protect the Constitution, and it's going to also protect parental rights, how they, raise kids and among other things. So I feel saddened, but I understand there's a lot of people. I understand it was confusing. It was confusing to me. So that is my opening statement tonight. So, hey, Jason, how you doing, man?
Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm late.
No worries.
My trailer broke down.
What happened?
My trailer, I burned out a wheel bearing on my trailer, so I was out beside the interstate till about 30 minutes ago replacing the whole dang axle.
Oh, man.
Got it, but we're all good, man.
Thank you, Lord.
Welcome tonight.
Thank you.
We opened it up, Jason, talking about the failure of issue one and how we're now moving into the November ballot. And we were going to go to Frank on his thoughts on issue one, then we'll come back to you. So, Frank, what are your thoughts, man?
I agree with David. It was presented in a very confusing manner. I think that had it been just a straightforward thing and put out to what it was intended to do, and the state constitution should be protected. It should be harder to modify than just a simple majority of a popular vote. Because what happened was exactly what my fear was going to happen. There are a couple large metropolitan areas in the state, and the counties around them essentially are controlling now the outcome of this one and probably the outcome of several elections. And the scare tactics that were put out there, and that it was somehow a Republican kind of okey doke around to try to get around this abortion bill that's coming up. And I'm going to call it what it is. It's an abortion bill. It's not a reproductive health protection. It is.
Right,
it's going to codify the ability to kill babies. And I'm going to call them babies. They're not fetuses to me. They're babies. They have a heartbeat. They can feel pain at certain points. They start developing neurons pretty quick. So the idea that now when you look at the outcome maps, there was approximately 75 or more % of the counties in the state of Ohio were in support of having that protection to make it more difficult, to make every county's voice count, not just the popular vote. which is an argument that's been tossed back to me today already, was that it's the popular vote. If the popular vote was the only thing that mattered in this country, the Electoral College wouldn't matter, and we would have a handful of cities and a handful of states deciding everything for everybody in the country. So the folks that set up the Electoral College saw that coming and put those protections in. Well, we've essentially abolished that idea here in Ohio now. So if you're not from Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Toledo metropolitan areas, and Dayton here, your voice is essentially silenced now. And there's no impetus for anybody to come and talk to you about anything, get your signature on anything, get your agreements on anything, or even acknowledge you exist if you're outside those metropolitan regions. So it's made it not harder for special interests to get their nonsense across. They just essentially voted to make it easier. Because if I'm a multi-billion-dollar entity that wants to get whatever passed in Ohio now, I've got 5 major regions to go to. I send a handful of teams out there, and I've got whatever I want on the ballot. I've got whatever I want probably passed because I can spin and market it any way I want to. And this was about protecting for future things. We're on a sliding, slippery slope now. It has left it wide open for everything that was campaigned as a fear for the folks that were saying, hey, if issue 1 fails, this could happen. I bet you now we're going to see a ballot measure about every year coming up with exactly what we're talking about. And people are going to sit there and go, we're not trying to do this. We're not trying to kill babies. We're not trying to get your guns. We're not trying to do this. We're not trying to do that. There are people that were campaigning against issue 1 that said those exact things. In fact, there was a mayor, and I want to say it was up there near where you're at, David. If it was the mayor of Cleveland or some, got on TV and said, this is the first step to move towards codifying gun control. And if this measure failed, they were going to start trying to push for constitutional amendments about exactly what people tell us not to be worried about. So I think this was an absolute
He ain't gonna take my guns.
Atrocity of things. And people, I don't think, understood because they got tied up in the politics of it. They wanted to blame LaRose. They wanted to blame Republicans for trying to do an okie doke. They wanted to try to say, hey, well, you voted to stop special elections. Now you force one in right ahead of the abortion ballot or the reproductive rights in order to try to stop it. And they used that as a tool to even twist conservative folks to vote the other way. And so they got manipulated by the system. They're trying to say that issue 1 voting down was going to protect everybody against, and that great power to the people, way to go state of Ohio stuff. People are actually cheering this on. I don't think they fully understand. History has shown when you give small amount of government control power and lobbyists, it ends horribly for the majority of the citizens over time.
Yep.
Indeed.
With that, I'll yield.
Yes.
That's great.
That's for real.
Well,
And I know
Jason, we'll come to you.
Hey, Jason.
What are your thoughts about the failure on issue 1?
Man, well,
Speak freely, man.
Speak
I'm
freely.
mad. I am really pissed, man. I had a lot of flashbacks this morning. I went back. We had the 2020 election. We had the 2022 midterms. We had an election in May, and as I've looked at it, I've just had a lot of really, bad flashbacks, man. And I've been really upset. I'll start by saying I went. I'm sorry, people's trying to call me. Give me a second here.
Oh, it's all good, man.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm on my laptop right now. So, listen, I was actually a no vote on this issue 1 at first because I'm part of the HB 248 bill here in Ohio, which is the medical freedom bill trying to.
Yeah, I heard that.
Codify medical. David knows all about it, and I'm sure you guys do as well. It's going to make it more difficult, but when you look at the environment that we're in and everything that's happening ever since Roe v. Wade was taken down is coming back to the states. I think this is just the beginning, and so I started to realize the importance of this. And the more I researched it, the more I looked into it, the more I realized this is a big deal. And we really need to pass this. Ohio has this threshold that's like paper thin. It's like as useless as your mask was. when it comes to stopping this tyranny and communism coming in. I mean, the guy who just mentioned the mayor of Cleveland, Matt Frank just mentioned the mayor of Cleveland and what they've been talking about these 15-minute cities and gun control. They've been saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
They're literally doing it in the open. And I think we might be where, we know what happened in 2020. I think they may be willing to do that in broad daylight, even way more openly than they did. I want to say this issue 1, we got to the ball late. Okay. We didn't have proper messaging back. The commercials on TV were telling conservative channels like Fox were having commercials that said, vote no, protect your Constitution. I mean, come on. And the conservatives had nothing. I talked to numerous officials tonight and today on the phone, and I said, where was our rebuttal message to vote no, protect our Constitution? We didn't have a rebuttal for that. And we send out flyers in the mail, and we put out yard signs, and I hosted events. I mean, I had a panel discussion last Thursday at our group. I had my state rep, Scott Wiggum. I had a pastor from a church in Canton. We had a county commissioner from Lake County, and we had one of the frontline doctors. 4 people on a panel discussion, about 60 people, and numerous people afterwards said, I came in as a no, but I'm leaving with a yes vote because I understand the climate and how important this is. It's way bigger than pro-life. Frank, you mentioned this is a pro-life bill. It was really, abortion was on the ballot. But here's the thing, it was way bigger than that. That's only the beginning. But I think the conservatives as a whole, the grassroots worked their butts off. We put out signs. But the Republican parties, they did not do their job.
Nope.
We didn't message properly. We didn't respond to what was happening on the other side. And I believe the grassroots and the Republican Party being split the way they are, we're never going to win. I don't want to be negative Nelly here, but we're not going to win elections until we get these 2 facets of the conservative party to come back together. I really believe that. And I'm going to be fighting accordingly, man. I'm not going to put my heart and soul on something that we're split down the middle like that. We got to find a different way to get out here and message.
I think it's going to be hard for that to happen when you have the DeWine, LaRose, Houston folks who in 2020 were the way they were, where they were going after freedom. I mean, we could go into that, but that's not the issue that we're talking about tonight. Let me throw up. So I'm going to say this. The left and the Democrats in Ohio are really gloating at this point, and they're going into November with a very big head, and we have to figure a way out. It might be the way to come together, but we have to figure a way out to defeat them in November on this abortion bill. But I'm going to play something real quick. I'm going to bring it up. It's just a short little clip. Here we go.
Today to talk about the insanity that took place in Ohio yesterday, or the insanity that led to the righteous victory in Ohio yesterday, is Ohio resident Cliff Schechter. Cliff Schechter, who apparently just loves to work. He has written books, or a book about McCain. He's a political consultant. He was an ad man for the Biden campaign in 2020. What have I missed? You're a frequent appearer on this particular dilapidated YouTube program.
Dilapidated, nicely done. I'm a roofer.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not at all. If you want me to fix your roof, you'll have more holes when I'm done. I think Jesse's just being nice, because what he's trying to say is, Jesse's saying about himself, he's saying, I've had what you'd call a responsible career arc. And Cliff Schechter is the ADHD of careers who jumps all over the place and seems to never settle. So, but no, I do appreciate the kind words. I am in Ohio, as you can see. I keep pointing to the wrong side. I've got my I voted sticker. So yesterday I went and I voted against this travesty of justice. And, to put it kind of modestly, we kicked its ass. So haha.
All right, I'm going to stop that. So that's them gloating. This Cliff Schechter guy, never heard of him before, never even saw that YouTube channel, but that YouTube channel has like 500,000 people that tune into it or that are subscribed to it. So this guy must be something. I followed him over there on Twitter just to see what he's talking about. But it was the we kicked their ass. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Pisses me off.
I'm you know what? It's like I said, Matt, I'm still mad as day is long, brother. And I feel like I was talking to one of my Patriot friends today, and it's one thing if you don't know, you don't know. But I feel there's a lot of them that did know and didn't want to do the right thing. And I don't know, man. It makes me complacent at this point.
Yeah, so I think being upset's fine. Great. But we can no longer look in the past. That's over. Election day's passed. We have to look forward to November. And I like what Jason said. We have to come together. Okay?
Yes.
If I have to hold back, I'm never going to vote for Frank LaRose. I'm never going to vote for Mike DeWine. I'm never going to vote for John Husted. Those rhinos I will never vote for. But when it comes to the abortion issue that's coming up in November, that's going to be the first battle. Then they're coming after the guns. You got this David Hall character who's out there. He's already starting a coalition trying to get folks to run. The Gen Zers who are whatever. We could talk about that. But we do have to come together. We have to come together and defeat the November ballot. Not only come together, but organize.
Yes.
Jason's in Canton. I'm in Greene County. Frank's in Montgomery County. David's out there in Cleveland. So we already have, the four corners. We need to get us a Zanesville person over here, right? Get the four corners of Ohio going.
Yes.
But we have to all come together. I believe, what's Mark Pataki or
Paquita?
Paquita, yes.
Yeah, Paquita.
He's doing a YouTube or a Twitter Spaces on Tuesdays. We should all start tuning into that, joining in to speak, and then build that up. And then if Jason's doing something, help build him up. And if Frank and David, and then we need to support everybody instead of trying to do our own thing. Like this is Truman's Town Hall, but you're all welcome. Everybody's welcome, whoever's watching this. I'll bring as many people on here as I can. We'll do it every night. I don't care. We have to defeat the November ballot. What say you?
Man, that is the dream right there. We got to come together in these things because there are too many things at risk coming up here. With this momentum that's being built, they're now going to try to legislate the alt-left movement into what they consider to be a moral majority. And we're going to start seeing everything that we stand for starting to get eroded away. And they're going to focus on the areas where they can get fear going, because there's a lot of ideas out there that are being presented as, that should just be the right thing to do. That should be okay to do. And then if that doesn't work, they pull the fear card. And if you threaten people's benefits, their livelihood, their support, their, if they're getting assistance, if you look at some of these counties where they can get that off and get the vote going to make them fear that they're going to lose Social Security benefits, you're going to lose your Medicaid, you're going to lose your food stamps, you're going to lose all these things. If this passes and it's going to cost so much money or do whatever, they're going to start going for that because they've concentrated folks into these urban areas where all the assistance is. And now they're going to scare them. And if you scare the right amount of people in a densely populated area, you're going to get them to vote whatever so they don't lose something. That's going to be the next tactic I think we're going to see to get that 50% plus one. So I think that you're right. We need to come together. It needs to stop being conversations only and turn into actions, because there are a number of folks, even in this area, Montgomery County, that have a lot of great ideas. There's a handful of folks with some passion, but you can't get it past that point because a lot of the citizens don't believe it matters if they stand up. And now this measure just showed 70 plus counties, they don't matter. So how to get those folks energized and back in and say, hey, you're 76% of the state. If you guys if we all can get together on this, we can do something with this. But we got to be able to overcome that population density and fear factor that comes out, because I've seen it out of the left. If they can't get you to do it voluntarily, they'll scare you into it, or they'll try to force you into it. And if they don't like it, they'll threaten your livelihood and try to dox you to get you on their side. And then they sit there and go, heck yeah, we won. Well, of course you did. You scared everybody that was on the fence into thinking that this was somehow the second coming of awfulness.
Yes.
I don't think this ballot measure was a perfect ballot measure. I think some things could have been adjusted to make it better.
Yeah.
And perhaps it comes down the road, because the Constitution definitely needs to be protected.
Yes.
172 amendments versus the 27 amendments we have with the U.S. Constitution. It's unrealistic, but it is what it is. A lot of the Democrats, in my view, have voted no on this because they want to be able to vote yes in November. I know guns are an issue. That's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Parental rights. That's all within the bill. I can pull the bill up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull the bill up real quick. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna put it full screen so we all can read it just real quick. Not the whole bill, but Ohio right to make reproductive decisions, including abortion initiative. That right there, guys, that right there tells you everything you need to know. Ohio right to make reproductive decisions. If you go down in this bill, it's not only are they talking about abortion, they're talking about not informing parents about their child's abortion.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, it says the Ohio right to make reproductive decisions, including abortion initiative, is on the ballot in Ohio. An initiated constitutional amendment on November 7th, 2023. A yes vote supports amending the Ohio Constitution. This will be in the Constitution of Ohio, the great state of, and we will have to adhere to everything that it says. Establish a state constitutional right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including decisions about abortion. So what that is saying is that it's ones. That's not adults. That's not people over 18. That is one. That is your 13-year-old daughter who made an egregious mistake and went to her teacher, and her teacher or whoever, a friend, a neighbor, somebody, and they took her to get an abortion. And under this law, those abortion doctors have no problem killing babies. So what they'll do is they'll have no problem killing a baby of a 13-year-old child whose parents have no idea what's going on. That's the facts.
And one thing, and I know, Matt, you and I have talked offline about this as well, where in that reproductive rights bill does it mention a single thing about the fathers? It's the fathers have no say, no rights, no anything until that baby's born. And then the same person that doesn't want you to have any say because you're male will then turn around and go to court and say, pay for this child for 18 years, whether you want it or not. So if we're going to be honest about this, this is not about reproductive rights. It's not about family decision making. It's not about keeping the government out of the bedroom. This is about free-for-all behavior with no consequences, and being able to be a 12 or 13-year-old experimenting out there in this world, forgetting about birth control. And, oh, hey, the teacher gets to take you for some medical birth control.
Right.
And the medical need for abortion and incest and rape is very low in percentage-wise of the abortions that are performed, most of which are unmarried women and girls who are going in there for a first or a second one. And it's nothing to do with anything medical. It's because they made a decision they regretted later.
Yeah.
They find out they're
Right.
pregnant and they go, oh, it's going to ruin my life.
Yeah.
What about the father? If you're
Yeah.
going to, we deserve a say. If we had a part in creating this baby, we should have a say in what
There you
happens to its life. And
Well-
nobody is trying to legislate that in at all. Not even the Republican Party, is trying to legislate that. And the Democrats certainly don't care. And there are guys out there saying that I shouldn't say this because I'm not a woman and can't carry a baby. I've got kids.
Yes.
Some days they're a pain in the butt. They are expensive, but they're my kids.
Right.
And
I'll tell you guys a little story real quick. My son is 26 years old in October.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not planned. I was young, real young. His mom was young.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little meeting. You got to have an abortion because you guys aren't ready. You're too young for this. Blah, blah. And I fought. His mother fought. We're no longer together, but we fought for our son. And
Okay.
he's still around. And he's a productive member of society.
Good.
Yeah, we were young.
Yeah.
We made a lot of mistakes raising him. I could have done better, but he's a productive member of society. He works hard every day.
That's a great story.
I just got off the phone with him. We're going to go hang out. He's a good big brother. And these are the types of things that happen. And it's like, no, you need it. Okay. And then the younger kids, they fall for it, and they're not as strong-willed as his mother and I were. We were very strong-willed people.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things that come up. The rape and the incest. I have a heart.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to have to experience something
There you
as
go.
horrible as that.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me insane. I'm not a believer in the death penalty. I don't believe in the death penalty, but I'd tell you this. If someone harms one of my kids, I may put up my salvation to God
Come
to
on
go
now.
harm someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I
I mean,
mean,
that's how much I love my
Amen.
kids.
yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And you know what? See, comes down to a moral issue. This whole thing comes down to it being a moral issue. My heart goes out, this thing about rape and incest and abortion, my heart goes out to people. And you know what? I don't spiritually believe that there should be room for abortion because I believe it's a moral issue. I don't make the rules. I don't decide when life begins. I don't decide if that baby in the womb, no matter how it got there, is a person or if it deserves to live. And I'm talking about if I'm the mother or if I'm the father, if I'm making the decisions, if I'm the doctor.
Yeah.
I don't decide that. It's a moral issue. And before God and how our Constitution, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. And life begins at conception. So, I mean, if I was the governor, I'm not saying I would bite go hard on all the way with zero exemptions. But morally, I have to say I take that stand before God because I believe that it's life. But let's put that aside. This bill is so broad, guys. It is so broad. We had our state central committee lady, Chris Maurer from Canton. We had her at our group a couple months ago, and she pulled this bill down, and she blew it up on the big screen, and she went through this bill piece by piece. And it uses terminology like, reproductive rights and sex organs. And it's so broad, and I believe it's intentional because it's only the beginning, okay? There's loopholes in there from everything from pedophilia to prostitution, to abortion on demand. And it's a moral issue because this is good versus evil. And I want, for the people listening, I want to just say this to the viewers right now. This is life and death. What we're facing right now, I don't want to dramatize the battle that we're in, but the temperature that Ohio just took by this election, this is a big deal, man. Y'all need to pay real close attention to what's coming up in November, because this is no joke. This is the first stab, and it comes very subtly. It's called women's health care. That's total garbage. This is good versus evil, and this is bringing in something that's going to take away parents' rights, and it's going to open up the doorway to show that there's a room here for the people to bend to give a constitutional amendment. First of all, why is this not a law? Why are they not bringing this in through a law or legislation? This
Right.
can be in many other ways, but they want to codify it into the Constitution. Like, that's your temperature right there. This is not no joke. And there's nothing to give up to. There's nothing to quit back to. There's nothing to. This is it. This is the country. This is this is what we've been dealt. So I think we have to come together. I was put in a text message this morning, a large group text with some pretty high level people that are very active. And what I'm hearing in the message, when I said we have to combine the grassroots and the GOP and the central committees or we can't win. And it pissed off a lot of people. They started just this big fight broke out. I'm telling you guys, I don't like the GOP and the rhinos either, but we can't win without them. And I think we've got to begin to look at the playing field a little different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I agree.
It's hard sometimes to put up that.
Yeah.
To put away the anger, to put away yes, DeWine, Rose, Houston.
Yes.
They really did a number to us on 2020. We don't have to elect them again.
No.
But if we can get them on our side, if we can get others on our side to help join together to defeat this bill, we must come together. You're right, Jason.
Hold on. I'm talking a little bit more about local county central committees than I am like get on DeWine's side or get behind Frank LaRose. Okay. Those people are lost causes, but not that we don't need the Republican Party. I do believe that, but I'm on our county central committee, and our county, we have great people on our central committee, but we don't have grassroots people, right? We haven't bridged that gap between me, the grassroots guy, and my county prosecutor, who's a Republican, who's on the central committee, who's a great man, but he's not a grassroots guy. We have to bridge that gap.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll make this promise to everybody tonight. My kids are getting ready to start school. And while they're in school and I got a day off, I'll be in Columbus. I'll go up to Columbus, and if I see one of our representatives on the floor or walking around, I'll tell them, we have to defeat the bill. We have to create a law, sponsor it, do something. Because if you don't, we're going to call you out. If you're not standing up for it, we need to call them out. Whatever representative isn't working to defeat this November ballot, we need to call them out.
Yeah, that's a good level. That's a really good gauge.
I will be there in Columbus with a shiny smile and ready to work. And I think everybody needs to go out there and do the same. Let me bring up something here. There's a Casey Weinstein. You guys know this representative in Ohio? He's real active on YouTube, or not YouTube, Twitter, or X now it is. Right,
That
Casey Weinstein.
Yeah.
He's a state representative for Ohio 34. And his latest tweet, one of them. Let me find it right here. I'm going to bring it up full screen so everybody can see it.
No way.
No way.
He said, today and every single day, I will fight for women's reproductive rights. I'll be voting for the party that wants to give fourth graders free lunches instead of the one that wants to force them to give birth. That's the Democrat Party in Ohio.
Oh my God.
That's the Democrat Party in Ohio.
He's trying to scare people to think that there are fourth graders that in a large enough number, I'm sure it exists. I'm not going to say it doesn't because someone will pull up somewhere and go, oh, here's one. But how many fourth graders are running around the playground at elementary school carrying twins? I mean, I'm all for giving kids lunches at school, but that's part of that whole socialism that started a long time ago. But no kid should go hungry. But to tie that together and actually act like that makes sense is ridiculous. How in the heck are you going to tie free lunches for an elementary school kid and abortion together? That guy,
Exactly.
and people are going to retweet and repost that and be like, yeah, let's get behind free lunches and let these fourth graders have abortion. They're not going to say the last part of that because it sounds moronic just reading it out loud.
Wow.
It comes down to education. We have to do better about educating people about the issues.
Yes.
If we're not educating our neighbors, if we're not educating our friends, if we're not educating our coworkers, if we're not educating the people we come in contact with on a daily basis about these issues, they're going to fall for things like this because they have things to do. They have a job to do. They have to go home and run their kids to karate or run their kids to football or cheerleading or whatever. They're busy people out there. So we have to educate them. Yeah. You get into a conversation, hey, have you heard about that issue coming up in November about abortion? How are your thoughts on that? Mm-hmm. We have to get away from feeling bad about talking about abortion.
Right.
Because we can't. We can't feel bad about abortion because it's literally killing children.
But I know so many people who did just that. I just spoke to a friend of mine before I jumped on here. He's talking about all the people at work, and this guy isn't even always politically involved, but he was talking to the people he's working for, the people at the doctor's office, and engaging people. And I know a lot of people, a lot of the grassroots that engage the people in this bill. So I feel like we did our part. And when you're going back to yesterday's election, and here we still sit, and it's again, it shows you that we need each other. We need to, link arms. We have to find a way to connect in a more direct way and educate people. To the school lunches thing, I don't know if you guys were aware that they were trying to take away school lunches from any school that didn't allow transgender bathrooms. Did you guys know that?
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine's on the Moms for Liberty. She's a Moms for Liberty chair for Stark County. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to all kinds of threats. They're constantly making threats to these schools. The agenda comes through the pro-life and the abortion amendments, and it comes through the schools, okay? A lot of this stuff comes through the schools. That's where they're taking it because that's the core of what's the next generation. That's how they influence. These people have long-term vision, a lot more than conservatives. We need to step back and begin to have more long-term vision, and we wouldn't be so discouraged when we lose either.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and you're right. They go for the money. The federal government right now will threaten to pull federal funding from anybody who's not pro their agenda. And now it's trickling down even to the states and the county levels. So that goes back to what I said originally about how these densely populated urban areas, they get folks so tied into these programs and they don't really have a good bridge. I've worked in behavioral health and social services for 26 years. There's a real rapid way into the system, and there's a very difficult sometimes stepping out. There's not a really good bridge to get there. You get a good job, they take away everything and within a matter of months, so you better be ready to rock. So if I'm sitting there and I'm getting subsidized stuff and my kids are getting meal plans and our healthcare is tied into the state or federal funding and I've got Social Security, my housing's on the line, transportation, everything's on the line, and then you tell me if I vote yes for something, I'm going to lose all of that and I don't have a backup plan, you've just now effectively scared my vote. Even if I don't want to vote for it, I feel I have to because now my fourth grader doesn't get a free lunch. And I can't afford to pay for it.
Wow.
That fear tactic, and this was started, I want to say, decades ago when these systems were set up. When you're talking long vision, I think this goes well beyond probably some of our lifetimes where this started. And this process is now matriculating out to where the quiet is out loud now. They don't have to hide anymore. They've got billions of people almost tied into some of these things around the world. So that everything can be now guided by fear. Fear of losing everything you have will drive you to do dang near anything somebody tells you to do.
Well, it's coming. Not to get off topic, but the CBDCs, that's being pushed hardcore. Central bank digital currency. They have what's the world coin? Have you guys heard about the world coin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all this stuff is coming. The control from the left, they're winning. Ladies and gentlemen, the left is winning. Wake up. And if you want the left to win, okay, that's great. But for the conservatives, get off your tail, join forces. Let's all get together and let's do something about it. If we don't, the left wins. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You want the left to win, or do you want to fight for your freedom? It's up to you.
Yeah.
And
You
if
know,
it was about freedom, it'd be worth fighting for too, but it's not.
What's that?
If the left was about freedom, it'd be worth fighting for too, but it's not.
Right.
You know what I thought about when you just said that? It made me think about, wow, my grandmother used to say something I'll never forget. When you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything.
Come on.
Right. Right.
And it's like, oh, I miss that woman. She was like, she was a woman of a lot of wisdom. You know,
Indeed.
I love my mother, true enough, but it's something about grandmothers that's extra special. And she really she used to always remind me and said, Dave, when you research something, make sure you get something to back it up. If you don't understand it, get with somebody that will explain to you, and you can educate other people.
There it is.
Yeah.
What was your grandma's name, David?
Glendora Eggleston. She
Nice.
was originally from Beckley, West Virginia, and she came into Cleveland in 1953.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good, man.
Guys, we need to, we all know I believe the bank failures are close. I think you're right, Matt. There's these new coins that are coming in, the central bank digital currency. It's coming. Most people that are probably going to see this are aware that we're basically in a war state. And, the fires are nipping at our heels, but right now we still are chewing on the steak. Everything seems cool. We haven't, it's not really reached us. The worst thing that's happened to most people is $3-4 for a dozen of eggs and $3.50 for gas. And that doesn't get them off their ass. And sometimes I'm not sure what it's going to take to get people up, but most of us have seen pretty clearly what's going on and where we're at. But how do we go forward? How do we give people vision and encourage others to say, look, it ain't over. We've got to get in the fight. We got to get the churches involved. One of the reasons this is discouraging the issue one, which I've had 24 hours to mourn this thing. I'm done mourning. I'm done being mad. I'm done being pissed. We're going to fight.
Yeah.
Fight.
All right.
But one of the reasons I was so down about this is because the churches did get involved in issue one. I know so many churches that the pastors told their congregations vote yes on issue one, and it still didn't happen. But aside from that negative little piece of information there, the bottom line is if we get the Republican Party, who believes in God and the Constitution for the most part, if we get the grassroots, believes in God and the Constitution, if we get the church, which believes in God and the Constitution, backing an issue and encourage them to engage in their civic duty, which is engaging in politics. You don't have to go to the Republican Party meetings. You don't have to run for a position, but you have to be involved. It's your duty to go to a school board meeting, a city council meeting, a fire department meeting. It's your duty to go somewhere and know something and not call your buddy the night before, hey, what's issue one? Which I'm thankful people called me last night. I'm honored that I could answer those questions. But it shows you that the temperature of where people are, we're not recognizing the dangerous time that we're in and just how shaky the ground is. I mean, guys, we've been on a precipice for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's right there.
Oh yeah.
Watch the stock market and look at how fake it is. I don't know if you guys are in the market or watch the market. It's a total joke.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with reality.
No.
Look at silver nosedive, right? Well, JP Morgan runs when the economy is crashing. I mean, it's all made up and it's all fake. And one of these days, the rug's going to get pulled out, and then I guess we'll fight. I guess that's maybe what it's going to take to get people out. But there's no other option for people who want to quit. People who think that
it may be too late at that point. That's why we need to start now.
Yes.
Don't wait until you are taking a bucket down to the river to gather water. Don't wait till that point. The time is now.
I know. We still have time. We still have time, but we've got to all sense the urgency. I just hope people recognize the urgency of the time. Listen, again, not to be a doomsdayer, but if the abortion amendment passes in November, your conservative values, your conservative Ohio, 10 to 20 years, you're done.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the Constitution, codified, and they'll have so much steam, and they'll be so excited, and they'll be mocking you to such a level that you will be, you'll have a Second Amendment amendment on the ballot the next time. And it might pass. Sure. People on here right now, they're all thinking, oh, that'll never pass. We would never limit gun control. Well, you just what did you just let happen?
Right.
Yep.
There you go.
It could absolutely happen because they got money and they got a message that's full of BS. The message ain't facts. It ain't real, but we still have a large portion of people who believe what comes across their TV screen, who hears the radio commercials, who sees the newspaper ads, who buys into the sharp little sayings. The one-liners do win. TikTok does win, okay? The commercials, they do win. Money does talk. You know, I'd like to think America's more common sense, but we haven't proven that we are. Nope. And so as a conservatives, you better use every platform you got. You better use your circle of influence that God gave you for the right reasons. And I try not to burn people out on politics. God forbid, I probably sometimes do. But, man, I care about this stuff. And if everybody did their part, we would all only have to do that much.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
I agree.
Solid points. And I know, David, you mentioned what your grandma taught. I had a grandfather taught me a long time ago, if you don't listen, you got to feel. And right now, there's a whole bunch of people didn't listen, and now they're feeling. So now it's time to get up and listen so we don't have to feel some of the nonsense that's coming down the line.
Yes.
Good.
Yep. Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. We'll call it a night today. Hopefully we'll come back. We'll do some more of these, maybe get some other folks on here.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are willing.
Yes.
And if there's anything that Dave or Jason or Frank, if you guys need anything, you let me know. We'll join forces, us four, and then we'll spread it out. We'll get everybody to come together on this one.
Yeah, I really want to get involved because we're on high alert right now.
Yeah.
Let's join the Twitter spaces. I've been on some of them. I'll jump on them. I've been advocating for our, a lot of our groups to do calls like this, to get together and discuss and talk about real action, encourage people. So, I'll get on the Twitter space Tuesday and we'll go from there, man. I'll jump back on anytime. I'm on a show tomorrow night with a kid named Ryan J that has a podcast, and everybody's just trying to do a little bit.
Well, we'll send that out to us. Send it in our message that we have going on. And if you guys go on podcast, if you see something that's worthy of us sharing, send it to us. We'll share it out, and we'll do the best that we can. And then we'll tell the other folks, hey, send this out. And we need to not be afraid to share other people's stuff and not be afraid to come on other people's podcasts or platforms and talk about this stuff. So, let me know whatever you guys see out there, because I would love to share it. Definitely.
Same here, guys. Same here. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for coming on Truman's Town Hall, folks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.